The reason why past life regressions are so expensive, I've had one myself. They are very expensive, and it's because it is very energy consuming to go into any past life information at all. And the reason for that is because when you come into the prison planet, we get wonderful amnesia. We can't talk as babies, so we can't tell people because as a baby, you still remember previous lifetimes. This is why babies can't talk. But this is also why babies are talking earlier and earlier, because we're breaking out of some of the cycles that we have been placed in so that we can reincarnate and retain some of the memory from past lives. So you're going to continue to see a lot of children talking about previous lifetimes. We're going to continue to see that. That's just proof that we're entering into the age of Aquarius. So we're breaking free from a lot of the things that have controlled the soul harvesting system. This is a soul harvesting system. And so if you are here on earth right now, this means that your soul has been fragmented. This means that there are pieces of who you are as your whole self that each incarnation you are regaining. You are reconnecting with these parts of yourself. So I'm going to give y'all a great example, and then I'm going to pull some cards for the collective, and this will be a sample of what the past life regressions are like that I am going to be opening up for other people outside of my coven. But my coven exclusively get this service first. And you all will also see me do that. I'm going to do those as I'm live streaming. And the replay will be available on YouTube as well. I haven't decided which platform, so just keep following me and I will post and let you know when I'm going to do that. But I'm going to go deeper with people into their past lives. So it started for me as a kid. I would often say things like, I remember when I was 17 years old and I died. I didn't know why. I just knew as a kid, I felt like I had already been here and I only lived to be 17 years old. Kids started laughing at me and bullying me for it, so I stopped saying it. But it was something that I remembered. As a kid, whenever I would be around people that I loved and when it would be time for us to go, I would get a piece of paper or even a piece of toilet paper and write a message on there and give it to them and say, this is for you not to ever say goodbye to me. This is for you to remember me. This is to let you know we're going to come back together. I didn't know why the fuck I was doing that as a kid. When I got older and after I went through my own past life regressions and learned how to open my own Akashic records, opening other people's Akashic records comes easier to me than opening my own. It oftentimes has to come through a lucid dream for me, most of the time. But the reason that I did that is because in a previous lifetime, as a indigenous woman native to the Americas, I was one of the midwives and one of the shamans in the village. And somebody attacked our village. I was young. I probably was only 17 or 18. But our village got attacked and they were shooting at us, and an arrow from a tribe member accidentally shot a little kid that was in front of me. I dreamed about this and it felt so real. And I grabbed the kid, pulled the kid to the side to try to shelter the kid while this battle was still happening. And the kid died in my arms, and it really traumatized me that I couldn't save this kid. And so partings, saying goodbye, became painful for me. So I would always give gifts when I would leave somebody. Back then, of course, we didn't have this technology. Now, there are periods of time and pockets of timelines where we did have technology like this. Just like in Tartaria. You had a past life in Tartaria. You've already experienced having devices like this. If you have a past life in Atlantis, you've already experienced dealing with technology. It wasn't harmful to us the way that it is proposed to be now, but this is not the first time we've had technology like this. And so that was the reason why that I will always give people gifts, to not ever forget me and to not be sad about us having to say goodbye, and to know we will come back together. This was 35 to 40 year slowly unraveling of my past lives. Um so if you may have things that you did as a kid and maybe you weren't connecting it to a past life, but that's one way for you to start making those connections. In shaman traditions, they call this soul loss. So soul loss is when you go through a ceremony to regain parts of you that you have forgotten, parts of you that you were disconnected from. Some things that you know and you don't know how you know them, that's past life coming through. Some gifts that you have and nobody has ever taught you, that's a past life coming through. When people pick up an instrument for the very first time and they can play the instrument like they've been trained, that's a past life that's coming through. I'm telling y'all how to start connecting with this. And let me tell you why it's important before I get into the cards. I always say I'm gonna do 30 minutes. I end up on here much longer than that, because the more open you are to receive and the more love that you all give, the more that I give as well. I'm somebody that definitely believes in equal reciprocity. If we don't start believing that and moving in that way, we will continue to see Earth move into the trajectory of where it's going now. And we're not here to do that. We're here to change the timelines. Okay. Thank you, Goddess of Fire, for that. Ashe. Thank you. Thank y'all for the hearts. As people say, heart me. I don't know what the fuck that means, but you can do that if you want to. So what ended up happening is, oftentimes as kids, we might have teachers who we had a past life with. You need something, baby? We might have teachers that we had a past life with. That sounds crazy, but this happens this way sometimes. And you'll just feel a connection with this teacher and really not even know the teacher like that. These are like little things that happen when you're growing up. Even meeting people, we would call it kindred spirits, or people that you feel a resonance with. All of these things can be clues about who you were in a past life. Now, this is why it's important. So this is just my own theory, and this, we could say this for entertainment, but this is just my perspective. So there is a lot of criminal, violent things happening, whether it is against brown people or quote unquote black people, whatever. We see it happening, right? We see the stories of people who their families are not really getting help from the media, and talking about people that are going missing and all these things that are happening. And there are multiple reasons that this is occurring, but one of the reasons that this is occurring is because we are reconnecting with parts of our soul that was deeply fragmented and shattered like a piece of glass, and we're reclaiming those parts. It's happening to you even if you're not intentionally doing it. If you're meant to awaken in this lifetime, this is something, if you learn how to watch for the signs, like I've been saying, you'll start to see it happening for you. It's happening. They see this is happening. People are starting gardens. People are learning about herbs. People are sharing their gifts with other people. Most of the things that we see happening and people are doing, they did not go to school to learn. So it starts off as something that you're attracted to, something that you feel a resonance with, something that you are drawn to, something that you feel like you desire, something that you're interested in. As an ADHD girly, I get hyper fixated on things. And so like I've been hyper fixated on past lives lately. And I didn't know why. And I was like, why is this important? Then when I started seeing the amount of violent behavior that was occurring against a very specific group of people, I was like, okay, this is making sense now. So you can look at your past lives as skills, wisdom, talents, psychic gifts and abilities that you just simply forgot. So a spiritual journey is about remembering. It's not really somebody teaching you something, but it's remembering the things that you forgot, and it's reclaiming those parts of you. So some of us had past lives in other galaxies. Some of y'all have past lives where you were with a bird tribe, and so now it's something about birds for you. You might love birds. You might just notice hummingbirds just, around you when you go places. You're just noticing things. This is how past lives start to connect, and the reason why it's connecting is because the sorcery that was done against us to make us forget who we authentically are, not who you had to be to survive the traumatic experiences that you've had throughout life, but who you actually are, okay? And when you start realizing who you actually are, there is a different level of power that walks with you. You also become a conduit for the ancestors who have ascended to higher levels of consciousness, and they can now speak through you, teach through you, protect you, teach you things that will help you before something even happens where you need that knowledge. So a great example of that would be the revocations that I have created. Those revocations are free for everybody in the coven. They are only $1 for everybody on Patreon. If you don't want to be a part of a community and you just want to get it, you can go to my website and get it. Those revocations are specifically for spiritual protection for children and to reconnect with the ancestors who were already operating in spiritual systems, a lot of them in matrilineal systems. So as we see the patriarchy, the spell of the patriarchy is breaking. This is why everything is happening the way that it's happening. And so power is shifting because of that. And so there are some, peace to you, there are some that do not want us to shift into this level of power. And we can see this, whether it's Essence Awards, they did a special about Aaliyah. They gave awards to Missy Elliott. Like you will notice black women, which I just say indigenous women, black and brown women, copper colored women, whatever you want to call it. But you will notice a lot of things happening, and it's centered around the indigenous woman. And so they know the power that we have when we heal, when we're no longer fragmented, when we're no longer leaking our energy and our power, when we're no longer allowing ourselves to exist in dysfunctional connections that drain us. Like this is happening on a massive level. This is the first time in history where a lot of women are choosing to not be married and not be in relationships, and they're just creating the life that they want to create. That is a very Lilith, Isis, Ishtar, Anana type frequency. That is a frequency of the divine feminine wanting to lean more into, hey babe, did she need something? If she do, if something you can do, and then when I finish doing this, I'll pick up wherever I can. So the reason that there's a book by Isha Amatengo, if I'm not mistaken, that's his name. But there's a book that he wrote, and it basically is saying that the black woman is the original guardian angel. And so when you look through herstory, not history, but herstory, when you look through that, you will see this commonality where when indigenous women were leading tribes and were the medicine women and were even the warriors and the ones that would come up with military strategies, we are the ones that came up with different types of architecture. When you look at Indian mounds all over the United States, the mounds, the sacred geometry of a mound is that of a woman's breast, is that of a woman's womb, the shape of the mound. And it's because that shape of the mound resembles a womb space, a space of creation, a space of where this is a portal. So this is why mounds were so important to indigenous people. So when the movie came out, and I got confirmation on this many times, but one of the things was when the movie came out, Sinners. I cried when I watched Sinners, and I didn't know why. I'm sitting in the movie theater boo-hooing like a baby. I didn't know what was happening to me. And so once we left the movie theater, I usually do a decoding when I leave a movie if I'm compelled and moved to do so. And I still have a lot of decodings on my Patreon. A lot of my stuff got deleted and taken down from every platform that it was on. I didn't realize how accurate of an oracle that I was. And I might sound cocky sometimes, but sometimes I'm not always really looking at myself like I'm that oracle. But I really am. I have accepted that. And so this is not something that you can fake. Just because you call yourself this, not going to make it be so. But there are a certain amount of things that you will go through that will let you know what you are. And so this is what I mean about soul loss, soul retrieval, getting the remnants and the fragments of you across many lifetimes, and being able to have that knowledge and that wisdom, that power and that energy in this lifetime. Okay. So when I saw Sinners, and I saw how the music was almost like creating a time machine, and it was opening portals, and it would allow things to be altered in reality. That is really, really what music has the capacity to do, depending on your past lives, your birth chart, the way that you speak. Everybody's voice is as unique as their fingerprint. And because of that, there are harmonic frequencies that are connected to each soul. And so people like DMX, people like Prince, people like Michael Jackson, people like Nipsey Hussle, people like Dr. Sabi, people like Left Eye, people like Aaliyah. So many people that we don't have here anymore. You will notice like they left here between June and July, typically. July 26th is the Galactic New Year. It's the new year based on Sirius rising to its highest position, to an apex position. All cultures had their own way of creating calendars, but when you notice those people lost their lives at specific times, just imagine how the world would be right now if they were here. It would be very different. And so you don't have to be a celebrity to make an impact. Every soul has capacity to make an impact. Every human being on this planet does not have a soul. We all have spirit, but we don't all have souls. And so the ones who have souls, the ones who are being activated, the ones who are finally putting their art out, the ones who are finally acknowledging that I don't want to spend the rest of my life just in this career. I want to delve deeper into who I am. What is my purpose? What is my passion? What is my power? How can I be of service to the healing process and making this planet better? It's these questions that have been asked. And so our soul contracts are unlocking because of that. And that is putting a lot of fear into those who have been controlling our reality through the holographic reality. That is the simulation code. I'm going to be doing a deep dive into the simulation code, and I'm literally going to go from A to Z. That's something that's in the process because I have a couple of things that I'm doing right now at the same time. But violence is what happens when fear overtakes people. Recently, I saw a young man was arrested, and he was pew-pewed in the back of his head while laying on the ground in handcuffs. It was absolutely no reason. Absolutely no reason. That life did not have to be lost. So when you start seeing that, when you start seeing 1-year-old babies' lives be taken over material things, when you start seeing so many people going missing, so many people having to go to social media and saying, my son, my daughter been missing for this long. I can't get anybody else to help me. The media won't report it. I can't get an Amber Alert. I can't get help. Whenever that starts happening, it's because souls are calling back in parts of themselves that this reality within the prison planet 3D matrix can't allow this, because we will shift the entire paradigm of reality. CERN is turned off right now. So a lot of the timeline manipulation that was happening is not happening, which gives us the space to learn how to connect with your authentic self, not the self that you had to be to survive. So that's why we see so much violence. It is fear, it is envy, and it is jealousy. that is creating the amount of violence that we're seeing, oftentimes against people who are unarmed, people who are not doing anything wrong. Okay, so this is why past lives is important. So I hope I made it make sense. If this is new for you, I wanted to give you an overview. Okay, so I'm gonna do, when I do these past life sessions, I'm gonna be using some Taoist mixed with numerology, mixed with tarot and divination to create past life regressions for clients. But what I'm going to do today, because I know for sure somebody is going to find me and they're going to get a message that they've been needing to get. I don't do this often at all. But I'm going to pull a card today for a soul that is going to watch this video. And it could be more than one person. Because the reason that I feel that it's important is because if we're going to heal this world, we need to know who the fuck we are. We need to know who we are, what we are capable of. Because if we don't, you can't win a spiritual warfare and you don't know who you are. All right? So I'm going to pull a card. And what I would like to know is what past life activation is coming through the strongest. Now, this is a specific deck that I bought and I've been working with for years personally. And it has always been very accurate. All right. So Ashe, thank you. Message for the collective, for the souls that will find me to come through. Okay, so I have the Six of Knives. The Six of Knives. Now, if you feel like this is for you, you are more than welcome to say something in the chat. Because being able to identify when something is for you also helps to unlock more of your dormant power. Okay. Now I'm going to read to you about Six of Knives. Now the plant that's associated with the Six of Knives is the John the Conqueror root. Okay. According to the short version of the legend, John the Conqueror was an African prince who was captured and enslaved in America. What is the irony that I pulled this card? And that's what I was just talking to y'all about. The prince managed to escape and sail back to Africa, leaving his power behind in the form of John the Conqueror root. This is just a legend, though. John the Conqueror root is actually a native plant of North America. Some of the possible meanings: leaving your troubles behind, moving on, going with the flow, accepting change, creating a new attitude. This could be travel. This could be learning something from overseas or wanting to go overseas, wanting to possibly live overseas, letting go of people, beliefs, situations that you have outgrown. This could mean that you are in a time of having rites of passage, which shows up as things happening in our life to initiate us, because we don't have our tribal leaders anymore. We don't have our villages and communities anymore. And so it happens to us through life happening. Okay, that's the rites of passage. This could be calling for a much needed change in atmosphere and relief. Now, there's always a negative side to everything. The negative side would be being resistance to this change. Feeling lethargic. People with a lot of baggage. Procrastinators. Being stuck in negative thought patterns. Feeling melancholy. Feeling like it's more troubles ahead. Using escapism. Slow progress. An inability to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And possible laziness. So these are all the things that are connected to the Six of Knives. So this means that in a past life, those negative things hindered you. And in this lifetime, those things are probably popping up, trying to talk you out of something that you feel deep down in your heart. When you start to unlock parts of yourself that has the capacity to give you improvement in the way that you experience life, resistance come out of nowhere. Life start life and math don't be math and shit just be happening. And with social media, a lot of times, even in the spiritual community, a lot of times we can see what's happening for somebody else and it can make us feel like we're doing something wrong. Or what is that they're doing that I'm not doing? Don't allow your mind to cheat you out of what you are meant to have. This is your sovereign birthright. John the Conqueror root is associated with natives of America. So that's confirmation collectively of what I'm saying. Your ascended ancestors are paying attention to you. They are coming to you. You are having healing ceremonies while you sleep. Now, I'm not going to get into root work because John the Conqueror root is a very great root to use for protection. So this is letting me know that the more that we are able to see ourselves not as something separate from the creator, but as fragments of the creator, and that Goddess is created in our image. We are one and the same. We are deities having a human experience. And, if we're looking at roots and herbs as wicked and evil, or we're looking at sunbathing as evil, or there's so many things that even religion taught us was evil. And the irony of that is that most people who practice religion, they do rituals, they do ceremonies, they do blood magic, they take communion, they do a lot of things that are rooted in magic and spiritual practices, and they don't know. So the more of us that decolonize our mind, the psychological enslavement, as it loses its power over you, then we will see power dynamics shift here in this physical reality. This is literally confirmation of what I said. Okay? This also shows a connection between indigenous cultures on different continents. We're being activated. With FIFA, if you notice, it was almost like they couldn't have too many people of certain ethnicities in the same place at one time. And from what I hear, some people were not allowed to come and play. Some people were sent back. Some people's visa was denied. They were denied to be able to participate. And from what I've seen, a lot of them were dark and melanated people. So this is not about superiority. This is about the uniqueness of our individual paths and our soul contracts and why we are here. Okay? Now, if roots have been speaking to you, because I remember when roots first started speaking to me, herbs started speaking to me, I was afraid to take certain herbs because it was not FDA approved. So I would literally ask my doctor, can I take this herb? Can I take shiitake mushrooms? Can I take this? And they all were saying, no, don't do that. People die because of these herbs. Like, don't do it. And, it took me 2 years to say, you know what? No, I'm going to follow my intuition. I'm going to go against what I'm being told and follow my intuition. So this is when you create timelines for yourself, because you start making sovereign decisions. Okay. And that's not, it takes courage to do that. Okay. Yes, the grid lines are being activated here. And unfortunately, the 400-year curse of slavery ended in 2019. And then the very next year, we went on lockdowns. Y'all remember that? It's not coincidental. It's not coincidental. So I have a song called Slide into the Age of Aquarius. And I literally channeled what was happening to our people into that song. Check that song out. It's streaming on all platforms. The artist name is just my name, Kamson. But check that out. Those songs are activations. And I say if you're a spiritual warrior, but you know when you lack clarity. You know when it's something that's missing. You can feel it. You can feel it. So that is a place where you can start to get these downloads and get your chakras aligned and balanced. Regulating your nervous system is so important because whatever happened to me in my past lives, when I was born as a baby, I already had trauma. Okay. We have trauma that we inherit from the wombs that we come through. We have trauma that we experience as soon as we're born as babies, especially if we were born in hospitals. Hospitals are like siphoning energy, siphoning stations. So we have trauma before you even grow up. You could be one of the people's like, my life was pretty chill, but you still have trauma of being born into this physical form because you can't tell anybody. As a baby, you can't say anything. Do y'all see how babies be looking? They be looking around like, I can't believe I'm back in this bitch again. Like, they be looking like somebody lied to me. I had that big old funeral, and I had the pastors and all of this, and I'm back here again. That's why babies be looking like that. Some of them be looking mad. Like, soon as they born, they be mean mugging because they like, I can't even believe I've been lied to. Like, where is my golden streets and my mansions? This is some bullshit. That's why they be looking like that. Yes, and we have to do the shadow work. Yes, shadow work is an ongoing thing. It's not something that you experience one time and it just stops. Okay. Thank you for that. Give me some more information for the collective about past lives. Ashe, 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 ashe. Ashe, ashe. Moonstone. Cycles. See? Can't make this up. Cycles. So we are currently in a cycle. I was just talking about the moon and the calendar, but we are in a new cycle. 2019, the cycle of the age of Pisces ended. Pisces is about illusions. Pisces is all about belief systems that are usually based in some form of illusion or delusion or deception. We're coming out of that. People are starting to think critically. People are starting to ask questions like, wait a minute, if paying attention to the celestial bodies is demonic and it will lead me to being in hell, why did the three magicians use the Star of Bethlehem to find Jesus? Nowhere in the Bible did it ever say that they were doing something sinful. It actually said the opposite. We have a whole holiday centered around the Star of Bethlehem. And then being able to use the stars to navigate when there wasn't a navigation system in place. That was divination. That's astrology. And God didn't have anything negative to say about them. You see, do y'all see what I'm saying? And so we're in a cycle where we're thinking critically. We're asking questions that previous generations were afraid to ask. And we're allowing our hearts to be open enough to be corrected about beliefs that we had that are no longer serving us. This is a new cycle. And in this cycle, when Black Panther came out, I knew some shit was about to change. I'm pretty sure y'all felt it too. It's time. It is time. We have been through so much. And a lot of us have been coming back over and over and over again. And in this particular incarnation, in this cycle, you are breaking cycles. You are breaking generational traumas, patterns, and curses. I'm going to pull one more before I get off of here. Libyan gold tektite. This crystal represents manifestation. We're manifesting new cycles, y'all. We're manifesting new cycles. This is timeline shifting and creating right here. This is what this is. The reason why the Michael Jackson biopic came out this year in a Chinese astrology, this is considered a metal fire horse year. The Avatar movie was about fire, and it had these horse looking extraterrestrial horses that they rode. Okay, that's not coincidental. What happened with Venezuela and the dragon that laid to rest in Venezuela, and the fossil fuels from that dragon being that blood is not by coincidence. So we're manifesting new cycles. We're creating new timelines. And in every timeline that they have manipulated to be able to rule and dominate, they weren't able to keep the power. The power is shifting. The goal is to make the powerless energy so strong that powerful people don't feel that they are. Most people who actually hold a lot of cosmic power struggle with believing in themselves consistently. They struggle to manifest their manifestations because there are all of these Six of Knives in their mind trying to work against them. So with social media now, they can watch how many people are going through awakening. They can see how many people are speaking in light language. They can see who is using mudras, who is sunbathing, what are we talking about? What are we doing? I'm watching a huge spider outside coming down on a web to land. See, our ancestors paid attention to nature. Nothing is meaningless. The patriarchal energy was very barbaric. It was meaningless, and it was all compartmentalized. It broke up our communities, our tribes, our villages. They took land, they raped, they stole, and now we see it happening all over again. A lot of that is because of Uranus energy, Aries, Mars energy, and Neptunian energy is really strong right now. So the potential for a civil war to happen is higher now than ever before, just like back when the Civil War happened. Usually every 244 years or so, there is something major that happens that incites violence between certain groups of people, and it was depicted in centers. Exactly. Exactly. I say Dr. Bay. That's my brother right there, y'all. You know, there are a lot of people who kind of discarded me, and maybe I'm not a real oracle in their mind. I don't know, but he has been consistently supportive, and I appreciate you, Dr. Bay, for that. I really appreciate that. Um I don't get a lot of love. I don't get a lot of love, but it's okay because I'm not here for that. I'm here for the people, for the souls who are able to see beyond the physical, you know. Um they keep losing. These data centers, they're trying to figure out how to get ahead of the awakening. This spiritual awakening shit was the last thing they wanted to happen, and it's happening. And so religion is not all negative. Nothing is ever all anything. It served a purpose. Civil rights movements, the meetings that they had was often in churches. It gave us systems and communities to use to be able to get ahead. But the future timelines will not be created in psychological plantations. Okay? They will not be happening in psychological plantations. Whatever it is that you have been desiring to heal, this is the timeline where you can actually manifest it. This is a timeline where it can absolutely be done. Oh, Dr. Bay, I appreciate that. Definitely. You know, this is the time where people that have been underrated and slept on and underappreciated, like, it's changing. So this is what I need y'all to remember. First of all, read those revocations between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m. Those revocations that I created for $1, y'all. For $1. Y'all need to go read that for yourself, because what's happening is not going to stop just because we want it to. Okay? This is why so much bloodshed is happening. They're trying to use sacrifices to change things, and it's not working. Okay? It is not working. We were afraid for so long. We have lived in survival mode. We have lived in fear. A lot of us miss community. We want to live in tribes. We want to have villages again. We want to have somebody that can help us when we're having babies or dealing with illness, and people that know herbs and people that are Reiki and energy healers. Like I'm pretty sure y'all are feeling that. We feel that desire and that call to have what was taken away from us. And we are the generation that is actually changing the trajectory. They're in it for the long game, and we must be in it for the long game. So figure out what your thing is. If you need some help, and in about a couple of weeks, I am going to open up a whole hour session where I'm going to decode people's past lives and connect it to today. But it's so important that we start using our words of power, because in the beginning, God spoke. We are all fragments of God. The reason that Western medicine is not doing as well as it used to is because the time is up. All of those systems that were not aligned with love had an expiration date, and they're not going to be able to manipulate the timeline to extend the shelf life the same way they did with food. All of the stuff they did to extend the shelf life of food, look at what is created now. In the 80s, we was eating Frankenstein cereal and Fruit Loops, and we know what was in that. We knew nothing about red number 40, and we knew nothing about that, but they were trying to damage our pineal gland, damage our hypothalamus. They were trying to damage our cognitive function. The goal, this is entertainment, okay? I'm just telling you what be in my wacky mind. Maybe none of the stuff that I say is accurate, but they knew when indigo children started coming here, when star seeds started coming here, they had already looked into the future timelines, and they've already created systems and ways to keep us locked in. And every time they keep trying, it keeps failing. So this is what I want y'all to do. This is what I'm being told to say, because I know some of y'all probably will actually go and get those revocations and use them. Words are powerful, okay? Absolutely, Birdie. Absolutely. And so what I want y'all to do, when you see somebody went missing, when you see somebody has lost their life, when you see somebody being wrong, when you see situations where there is no justice, you speak and use your words of power to call for justice, to call for protection. Okay? Use your words, y'all. I don't believe anybody who has a soul wants us to be at war. This is not what we want. This is not the kind of world we want to live in. So use your words of power. So every time something pop up on your feed, if you're getting a lot of that, the purpose is to drain you emotionally, so that it can have access and put hooks into you, so that archons could drain energy from you and feed off of you. So don't allow your emotions to be used against you. I call this digital magic. And so you use your words, whatever come to you. Now, those revocations is there for the people who want to get really serious about it, and you feel like you're a grid worker, and you feel like you can anchor in protection and energy. Get them revocations and use them. I'm not pushing it real hard, and I'm not posting it publicly because it's not to be consumed in that way. But start doing that when you see things on your feed. Don't allow things to trigger you into activating old timelines by you behaving as your old self. Start to collapse the 3D matrix. Start to talk back to those schemas in your mind, making you feel like you're not important, you don't matter. And let me tell you something else that I see. So for somebody like me, with all that I do a lot of different things, and no matter what platform I move to, I never go beyond 14,000 people. And at first it was coincidence, but when it happened over and over again, it was no longer coincidence. So this is what happens. People who truly have the power that they say that they have, people that have the wisdom, the tools, the people that can really activate you, a lot of times our numbers are going to be small in this space right here, because they're using numbers to make people feel like this person can't give you anything that's going to be beneficial for you. You have to be able to see through the illusion of the way the digital space is being monitored and used. My videos and the information that I give, the concepts, the thoughts, the teachings, the decodings, honestly, nobody has ever said to me, nothing that you say is helpful. Like, why are you on the internet? Why are you on here? Why are you even doing this? If I do a dancing video, I got thousands of views immediately. But if I do a video like this, I get hit with a strike. Nobody sees it. I get put all the way at the bottom of the algorithm and shadow banned. So I want y'all to start to not allow the numbers of the matrix to manipulate you. They can easily put 13 million on a video, and that one thing alone is going to make other people who are followers follow that person, because it's like, oh, they got 13 million. So some people are going to just listen to what that person is saying and receive it as truth because they see the numbers. And they're like, they got the numbers. You know, the same way glamour magic used yachts and jewelry and clothes and mansions to make us feel like those entertainers was, you know, really about something. It's glamour magic. It's glamour magic is what it is. And it makes things that's probably not going to actually give you true power seem important. I hope this is making sense to y'all. And so, it's some things that's about to happen, and it's going to, sadly, a lot of people who are really, really deep into religion, they're losing their capacity to love people who don't have the same beliefs as them. And the reason that's sad is because that means that most of those people will have to reincarnate at the level they came to in this world, or lower, a lower experience, because the underworld has many different levels. Now, I have traveled through 9 levels of the underworld, but I believe that it's more than that. But they're going to have to come back as a baby in a worse situation than before so that they can go through their own spiritual awakening. We all have free will to an extent. But it's sad because we could be accomplishing things a lot more than what we are if we were not so divided. Okay? Yeah, never follow the crowd, never follow the trends. And so when they show you what's trending, when they tell you, oh, you want to get more likes, you want to get more subscribers, you want to get more views, then you need to do this and this and this and top down and this. You will never see me do none of that shit, because that is the other intelligence socially engineering us and giving us little crumbs to keep doing it and passing it along, so that people like me, people like Dr. Bay, you don't find them. You know, the baby brain. I say, exactly. It's just some people are not ready to come out of the false womb of the matrix. And I mean, it's no judgment. That's okay. But like I said, sadly, they'll have to come back again. But if you're watching me, that means that you are a chosen one and you are called for this time. And the 144,000, that is a frequency. That's not a number of people. That's a frequency. And so human beings, we have 72,000 circuits in our body. That's a lot, y'all. Did y'all hear me? Think about your house or your apartment where you live and how many circuits is running through where you live. 72,000. Can you imagine 72,000 cords of power all in your house? That's us. That's what you are. So I put a guide up a few days ago, maybe a week ago, teaching you about the 12 cranial nerves as the 12 disciples. Study those guides. Look at that so that you can start connecting and awakening your body. Because this right here, a lot of people are still asleep. They're alive, but they're sleeping. Exactly. So as this circuitry within the body, whether you use meridians or nadis, okay, just like Dr. Bay is saying, these circuits in the body, what's happening is they're transmitting plasma. And the plasma that's coming from the real sun, not the LED light bulb that we be seeing sometimes. The real sun still exists, okay? But the LED light bulb, it exists too. I have pictures where I've caught both. But that real plasma coming off of those solar flares, it connects with the plasma within our bodies and it's activating us. Our DNA is going through a metamorphosis. And this is all of those DNA tests and figure out your genetics. They was trying to figure it out, and they can't figure it out. And we need to keep it that way. Some stuff is sacred and it's just not meant to be decoded by somebody who would misuse the information. Okay, so as things are falling, exactly. So as things are falling, as the veil is coming down, yes, we're going to see more scarcity, more chaos. You go be hearing about stuff happening with the water, stuff happening with the air. In monotheistic religion, King James, who was actually a demonologist, he was a demonology practitioner. Okay, King James, he had a lot of trauma. If y'all have read about King James, I can see why. Trauma creates trauma. Trauma begets more trauma. The laws of the universe, nobody is above them. Okay? It don't care who you is. It's going to work the way it worked. But what he did was he created a system to keep people from being able to connect with their primordial power. Your primordial power, that's the authentic frequency. That's the authentic wavelength that you are here to function within. Okay? And what happens is, as we're coming out of that, any god, goddess, any Netaru, any Dia, any Orisha, any Loa, any god, goddess within any pantheon, those fragments, we are the microcosm of the microcosm, macro, as within, so without, as above, so below. These fragments are consciousness. They are archetypal energies, frequencies that we can tap into. So I'm going to do something and I'm going to wrap up soon. Thank y'all for the hearts, for those of y'all showing your love. I appreciate that so much, because when you do this, it's not about this algorithm. I could care less about any of that. That's why I don't pay for marketing. I don't do none of that. When you do that, you're letting the universe know what it is that you vibe with, what you resonate with, and then more of that, what feeds your soul, will come to you. Because a lot of us are hungry. We're hungry for soul conversation, soul connection. You know, your bullshit meter, I'm sure, is working way better now than it ever has before. I know mine is. It can make navigating life a little difficult, because you can see bullshit from a mile away. Intuition is getting real strong right now. Telepathy is getting real strong right now. We be walking past animals and shit and be like, yo, that animal just told me they're not happy about being in this zoo. Like, it's shit that's happening. Don't doubt yourself or question yourself. And the weirder it is, oftentimes the more purposeful it is for you to be able to lean into it and accept the parts of you that are outside of the standard box of what we were told is normal or acceptable. Okay, Um, but I had a dream in 2013. It's on my old YouTube channel. And in that dream, I walked outside. I saw clouds in the sky, and the clouds started to form. And the face of the cloud started to kind of look like a draconian or reptilian entity. And this draconian slash reptilian entity was holding a small baby in its arms. And I walked outside, and as soon as I saw it, this feeling came over me, and I knew that something was about to shift on the planet. And I was a Christian at that time in 2013. I went real hard. Anything that I believe in, I go hard for it, and until it shows me that it's faulty. But at the time, I was a Christian, but my awakening had already started. But I wasn't ready to let go of what everybody else was doing. Okay. I was afraid to, you know. And if we be honest, a lot of people who are religious, they do have difficulty loving people who have beliefs that are not the same as theirs. Not everybody, because I got some sisters who, you know, I met them in church and we still rock hard for each other. So it's not everybody. However, standing outside, it was some pastors outside, and their congregation was outside with them, and they were looking at what was happening in the sky, and they were saying that it was a prophecy from God. And they were saying that this prophecy from God was letting us know that Jesus was getting ready to come back and get us. And I was confused, because I was like, wait a minute, Jesus coming back, that don't look like Jesus, that looked like a Draco to me. There are different versions of factions of Dracos. All of them are not for us, all of them are not against us. You know, when you start talking about galactic history, a lot of people get lost with that, because we think that everything began with Earth, but it didn't. Right? This is why we're made up of the same components of stars. It's because we did not originate here. Okay, we fell into this human body to have this experience, to learn and to grow and to heal. But the pastors were telling the congregation that this means that Jesus was getting ready to come back. And even if y'all go and watch that old video, I love it when people watch old videos of me and be like, yo, this was a long time ago. But I went hard for Jesus. And I was like, y'all, it means Jesus coming back to get us. We're not going to have to go through the tribulation. We're not going to have to go through the hard times. He's just going to come and get us. You know, and I think about that now, and I'm like, well, what if the person is driving the plane is saved? And if he get raptured, then that means everybody else on the plane go die if they don't get raptured. And that means that innocent babies and people and children gonna be getting hurt, because planes gonna be falling out of the sky. So I didn't even think about the fact that, wait a minute, the rapture actually sounds like a really dangerous situation. What about the people that's driving on the highway and they just had a baby, and the baby ain't even old enough to be judged to go to hell? Like, what's gonna happen to the baby? Anyway, it was heartbreaking. But what I learned from that dream is that there was going to be a lot of violence, and that violence is being incited by non-physical entities. It don't matter what we call them. We can call them demons, we can call them parasites, we can call them entities, energies. They feed on negativity. We can call them archons. All of these names, y'all, it don't matter what the name is. What matters is us knowing who we are and vibrating in love. It's something that's going to happen in from 3 to 16 months from now. A lot of people, and it's going to be through pain and suffering, a lot of people are going to start to say, you know what, it don't even matter to me. I don't want to be divided from people just because we have different beliefs about this or that. We're going to get past this. Okay, it's gonna take some time, but we're gonna get past this. Okay, we're gonna get to a time we're not gonna be asking people, wait a minute, are you Buddhist? Are you Christian? Are you Muslim? Are you Hebrew Israelite? What's happening to us right now and what's about to happen, we're not gonna care anymore. We're gonna care about what matters most, and that's preserving love, preserving life. It matters so much more. If you ain't never been in a situation where you was in a skyscraper and the skyscraper was going down, I guarantee you, if somebody who was a Buddhist could save somebody who was a Muslim just by working together, would y'all be standing there arguing with each other? Or would y'all work together? So some of the chaos that's happening in the world is happening because we haven't got to that point yet. They divide us and they conquer by dividing us. Are y'all getting this? The darkness in this world has a purpose. And we got to stop allowing ourselves to be divided and allowing those who use fear to keep us in cycles of self-hatred, cycles of violence against each other, black on black crime. That's a psyop. That is manifestation through saying a phrase over and over again, and they put it in something called media, and they broadcast this message constantly, and they give people keys to the city that make music about unaliving people. Like, I hope that y'all seeing this. We're playing chess, not checkers. All right. So that was my message for today. I want to thank everybody here who came in here and showed love. I ignored the people who did not, because I'm just not going to give my attention to that. The most precious thing that you have is your attention. And whatever we give our attention to the most, that is what is going to grow. Okay? So use your intention to focus on love, to focus on peace, to focus on gratitude. I'm telling y'all, when kids is going to bed hungry, I do not care what you believe in. If I got food, I'm going to share that food. These are the kind of people who are going to be raised to a more stable financial situation so that we could be there for each other, y'all. We got to get out of this. They done put us in these boxes and they got us divided. Y'all, we got to get out of this. Do whatever it is that works for you to keep your frequency high. Okay? We got to get out of this judging each other and being so focused on each other's flaws and each other's weaknesses. We got to get out of this cycle, y'all. That cycle is not serving us, okay? It hurts my heart to know that some parents been looking for their kids for months and can't get an Amber Alert and can't get help. That's heartbreaking, y'all. That is heartbreaking. And so we got to make sure that we are not being a point of reference that's anchoring more fear. Do not allow yourself to be used like that. Because I'm telling y'all, hear me when I say this. I'm telling y'all, we are not here for no reason. We are here because we are here to help the planet heal. And when you heal yourself, you are healing the earth. Learn how to have a mindset that's going to allow wherever your feet touch for you to have residue everywhere that you go. And it's the frequency of love that's just going to follow you everywhere that you go. That matters to me so much more. I don't have a lesser amount of love just because somebody believes something different than I do. We got to come out of that, y'all. Otherwise, it's a war that a lot of us don't even know that we're a part of, and we're about to find out. We're about to find out. Okay? So, I appreciate y'all. I'm going to play a song before I get off here. This conversation went longer than I expected it to. I guess people were ready to hear this, and I think that it is definitely time for us to have these conversations. But be you. Be proud of who you are. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Ain't nobody got it all together, y'all. Ain't nobody in no position to be judging nobody else. Discernment is one thing, but judgment is something totally different. And I'm telling y'all, what we're about to see happening right now is going to force a lot of us to have to finally choose how we're going to be and how we're going to show up in this world and how we're going to lead and how we're going to live. I wouldn't wish what I see happening on nobody. I really wouldn't. And it's gonna turn up. It's not gonna turn down. I'm letting y'all know now. It's gonna turn up. So that's why I'm telling y'all what to do. The frequency of love overcomes everything. Now, even though my music is copyrighted, when I play it, I get copyright strikes. But I'm going to play this song before I leave y'all with some positive vibrations. At some point, I'm going to be offering this service to people who want to have this service as well. And I just want to shout out to everybody who gave me hearts, everybody who actually commented and who said something positive. I appreciate you. And I'm telling you, when you leave from having interactions with souls who are channeling heart energy, love energy, you will feel a shift. You will feel a difference. Okay? This is Slide into the Age of Aquarius, the song I was talking about. Can y'all hear it? I ain't got no DJ set up, but I'm working on it.